This is Jonathan.
And this is Brittany. Welcome to the podcast.
Today's Sunday. So today we're going to be continuing the Cornerstone lesson entitled Consequences. So you're supposed to read Judges 13 to 16.
Which is the 3 chapters that cover Samson's life. So, if you want a quick summary, just go to the previous episode.
Or read it into the word.
Word, I think it's supposed to be story, because I think it's the only one that says that. Yep. So, typos. Woohoo!
Okay, so the Sunday question is not worded correctly. Again. So
Tell me about it.
So it says, what does Samson's story show us about living up to our potential and how easy it is to get off track? That's the first part. What does it also show us about God's grace and patience? Okay, God's grace and patience, even when we sin again and again.
So, just to tackle the first question. Living up to our potential and how easy it is to get off track. So, to answer this question, living up to our potentials, how easy to get off track. So it's harder to live up to your potential than it is to get off track. Because getting off track is really easy. Hence why we all are in church, because it's a hospital and we all need to be healed because we all get off track. Because it's easy to get off track. It's very easy to get off track. It's hard
to live up to your full potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I underlined the word easy, and I wrote, yes, it's easy to get off track, but is it worth it? Are most things that are easy to achieve worth what the outcome is?
9. That's no in German.
So, like we said in the last episode, his will is going to be fulfilled no matter what you decide to do. So are the consequences that you're going to endure because you took the easy way out worth getting off track? I don't think it's worth going off track. What are reasons that some people would choose the easy way out?
Because it's easier. People don't want to go through the struggle. People there are a good amount of people who enjoy the soft, cushy life in their spiritual walk and don't want to go through the struggle. For example, let's just take camping, for example. When you can tell a lot about a person when you bring them camping. All right? Are they one of those roll up their sleeves, let's get involved, let's get down and dirty in nature? Or are they one of those I'm only here because I have to be, the cushy ones who just stay there I'm not touching any dirt. I'm only here because I want to be, and I'm gonna stay in my tent the entire time until I have to go home. Or they bring the most lavish lifestyle possible. I went more of the route of focusing on the word potential.
Okay.
All right. Environmental and situational potential limiters. All right. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but their situations and their environment that they live in or that they put them in are things that can limit their potential growth, especially spiritually. All right. If you put yourself in a terrible situation, either with your friends or at home, where you just have a bad relationship with your parents or with your siblings, or with your friends, it's going to be very hard for you to realize your full potential. Why? Because there's a verse in the Bible. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it before. I'm not exactly sure where it's from. I had it written down. I don't know where it is off the top of my head, but it was iron sharpeneth iron. Also, just as the countenance of one friend sharpens that of the other. So, in essence, the people you surround yourself with will help you realize your full potential. And if you surround yourself with people who are not at the same level you are, it will not sharpen and enhance your skills. All right. For example, let's look at it spiritually. Let's say the friends you hang out with at church are all people who just all my biblical knowledge comes from movies. Okay. Cool. It's not, most movies are not 100% accurate. You may study the Bible more than they do, but because you hang out with them, you know, mental, environmental, situational, you know, adaptability, you're not going to grow any further because you're not going to see the need. You're not going to feel the need to go any further. They're not going to be pushing you to go any
You're
further.
not challenging each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you find friends and you build relationships, you have to have that that like deepness in your conversations so that you challenge each other to grow and be better, especially in your spiritual life. To your point in life in every relationship should be to get that other person to reach their full spiritual potential.
Realize your full potential. All right. Hang out with people who you want to be with. All right. It's like the song from Stephen Curtis Chapman. If we walk with the wise, we shall be wise one day. All right. If you want to be as wise as Solomon, you need to hang around with some people as wise as Solomon, because you may think you're going to be that one to change your friends, but if you put a rock out in the sea, it's just going to keep getting eroded and eroded and eroded away. So you're not going to be that one who's going to turn. You could, but the rock will more than likely get eroded first before the water changes to rock.
Well, and who knows? Maybe those friends are trying to change you as well.
Exactly. All right. So that's where I went with that part.
So how about we go over and talk about God's patience?
Even when we sin again and again, do we deserve grace and patience? Answer: daily double. Nope. We do not. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, we definitely don't deserve his patience and his grace. But kind of like we said in the last episode, he has plan. So his ideal plan would be plan A. And then plan B, C, D, E, blah, blah, blah. Our blah, 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 our new letters of the alphabet.
I was going to say, I've never heard those letters before in my life.
Each sin skips to a different plan. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's extremely patient with us. Because, like, think about it. Like, I'm 20. There's a multitude more than 20 plans that he's gone through.
We don't deserve God's grace or his patience. But the thing is, God is a very patient God. Let's look at it this way. Our lives are very finite and like they're short. They're very short lives. God can play the waiting game. God will always win when it comes to the waiting game. So don't think you can outweigh God. God gives us grace, and he's extremely patient with everyone. All right. We do try his patience. We've seen signs of that in the Old Testament when he's dealing with Israel, and he told Moses, I will wipe this waste people off the face of the planet. I will cleanse the world and start again with you, Moses, because I'm done with dealing with these people. I think that was him testing Moses, personally. Yes. Some people don't think of it that way. But I think that was God testing Moses as a leader to see what he would do. And Moses pleaded, nope, keep them alive. If I don't make it into heaven, that's fine, but keep these people alive.
In our lives, should we strive to avoid making God or testing God's patience?
Have you ever tried to test the patience of your parents? How well did that go?
I didn't purposefully do it. I didn't purposefully test their patience, but it still doesn't go well.
Exactly. So testing his patience will not go well for you. All right, and like I said, the last episode, with Esther, like if you're not willing to help God, he will find someone else to help it to further his mission. You're not the end all and be all tool to finish his work. His work will get done whether you are part of it or not. So might as well join the bandwagon and be part of this amazing work that's being done. All right. because you're in the ideal situation. That's why he's asking you to do it. But if you're like, nah, God, I ain't doing it. You're like, all right, then I'll find someone else more willing to do it, and then you will suffer for that. All right, it's the same thing that happened with Saul and David. Saul wasn't willing to do what needed to be done and following God's will, so God had him replaced.
So it's the same idea in your job, right? It might seem harsh that God would do this, but if you work for an employer and you're not willing to do the job that they want you to do, they'll just replace you. You're replaceable in any situation. You just have to make yourself not replaceable and needed, and it's not about glorifying your name, it's about glorifying his. Continue to the next part of it says, as you read the end of Samson's story, do you sense more triumph or tragedy?
Me personally, this question is a matter of, is the glass half full or half empty? Depends on your perception. Some people would say it's a tragedy. He died. Because he didn't listen. He got he was lustful. It's just all half empty, half empty, half empty. But at the same time, the whole entire story could be a tragedy. It's not just the beginning, not just the end, because even though he did sin, he was blessed with those gifts, and God set up the opportunity for him that when he died, he was able to go out with a big bang. Because the Bible clearly states that the temple that they were worshiping in was full. People were even on the roof and probably hanging off the ceilings. All right. So this temple was packed. All right. And Samson's hair grew. Like, there are many points that you can bring back of the triumph that happened in this lesson. So I look at it as more as the glass is half full in this situation. And yes, there's a tragedy in it. He didn't do it as he was instructed to do, and he suffered. But at the same time, God gave him a way to end with an amazing legacy.
Well, and like we said in yesterday's episode, God's strength is showcased through our weakness, and this was actually Samson's weakest moment, right? And God was glorified in the tragedy.
So you're supposed to read the entire 3 chapters on Samson's story, Judges 13 to 16. We kind of summarized it yesterday on the last episode that we did, and we talked about living up to our potential. How easy is it to get off track? It's very easy to get off track. Living to our potential is hard because a lot of people prefer to take the easier route, which is why very few people out of the entire population will actually get to heaven. And the environment / situations that we put ourselves in or find ourselves in can be extreme limitations on our spiritual potential, including the company we keep. Then we talked about God's grace and patience. Even when we sin again and again, God's grace and patience is infinite. All right. And if you try to pay, no one trying to pay any money here. We all broke students. If you try to play the waiting game with God, you're never going to win. All right. And if you try harder and harder and harder, like, nah, I'll just wait it out. God's going to find someone else who's more willing to do his work. And it's not going to go over well for you. And then we finished off with, do you sense more triumph or tragedy from Samson's story? And I say it's a matter of glass half full, half empty. And I see it as half full because even though he went through a lot of downs and he fell far from grace, man fell really far, like off a cliff far. God set up the situation where he could triumph and leave an amazing legacy behind of, no matter how far you go away from God, he still has a plan that you can still come right back around full circle.
So I think that summarizes everything. Concludes our Sunday episode. I want you guys to think about ways that you've noticed God being patient in your life and how you can remedy that to not test his patience as often.
Hope y'all enjoyed it.
Stay in school.
Sabbath school. Stay in Sabbath school. Stay in Sabbath school. Watch a podcast. Share with your friends.